Hello and welcome along to round number 4 of 6 of our Lorcana Into the Inklands Set Championships, here hosted by Fanboy 3 along with Fairfield Social Club as well. My name is Ben. It's a pleasure to have your company here with us whenever you are watching. If you missed any of the other rounds in this tournament or want to watch them all concurrently, there is a playlist down below in the description as well as in the iCard for you to be able to follow along through all 6 rounds of the Swiss event and then the top 8 cut as well. But getting to grips with our round 4 matchup then, we've got Cree returning from round 3 playing the Amethyst Steel deck, and then we have Patch on the left side of the screen playing a Ruby Sapphire deck. But this looks like it's certainly going to be sort of the dime control deck that has come into popularity with the introduction of Lucky Dime into the Inklands. And it's the ideal turn 1 start for him as well. Play Popsicle on turn 1 to draw a card. And we'll be able to link up with cards like Hiram Flavisham as well as Tamatoa later on in the game. Pre's turn 1 is going to be the Captain Hook. And pass over to Patch. So ideally Patch here on this turn 2 is going to be looking for some kind of ramp card. We'll find it in the form of 1 jump ahead. He'll put himself up to 3 ink by putting the top card of his deck face down into the Inkwell Exerted. And then it goes straight up over to Cree now, who honestly the biggest way to try and get ahead and beat this Ruby Sapphire dime control deck is just to be the aggressor realistically in this situation. Typically these decks aren't going to be doing too much till around about the sort of 6-7 ink kind of area. That's when they will start to be threatening and get up in towards their big high-end threats. As Cree will go ahead and quest for 1. And we'll pass the turn over to Patch, who's going to play down a Queen of Hearts. Will punish the choice there of Cree to quest in with the Captain Hook. Challenges in and will take just the 1 damage, because remember, for those who might be a little newer to the Lorcana trading card game, Challenger as a keyword only activates when you challenge and when you attack into a character. So that 1 base power is all that will be dealt to the Queen of Hearts, although it will be swiftly dealt with on the return turn by Cree there after the Pinocchio goes challenging in. Ink away a Maleficent. And he's going to play down a Maleficent. So there is a Friends on the other side as well that's in Cree's hand. So I imagine that's going to be the first thing that he will be looking to do with his turn 4. For Patch, he's just going to continue to go ahead and go on ramping with how far I'll go. Choice between, I think it's Be Prepared and Fishbone Quill. It's a difficult choice. I think he's decided to ink Quill and take the Be Prepared. He's going to ink a Quill, in fact, so it might have been the other way around there. And just as we thought, with the turn passing over to Cree, his first action is going to be Sing Friends with Maleficent. Try and get that sizable card advantage as he did against Jackson in round 3. We're going to pay 4, draw another card with Merlin Rabbit, and pass turn over to Patch, who's got a fair few cards in hand, quite a few in the Inkwell as well. He's going to elect to continue to filter with the use of Grammatala. Sees, I think that is Lucky Dime as one of the potential choices here from this Tala. We'll be able to put one of them into hand and the other to the bottom of the deck. Makes a choice and is going to continue to filter through, developing his brain. Decides against to Be Prepared there. Didn't quite see what the second card was for the choice, and then he ended up taking. And Patch will be happy to pass the turn. Will concede and happy to go down to 3 lore here. Possibly 4 though if Cree plays the goat, but I think that he's just drawn for turn. Wants more card advantage instead. A second rabbit's going to go down, then sing friends with Maleficent. 3 extra cards drawn there this turn. And then Merlin Rabbit will Zeus away the Grammatala, or stop Patch from getting himself on the scoreboard. And just having a little further decision here, I think, for Cree to what he wants to ink. I think that was the Wrath of the Titans. And we'll play down Pascal as a follow-up 1-drop. Does have evasive now as it comes in with multiple characters on the board. As Patch will go through his turn and is going to play a Scar down. Cree was almost just sort of expecting a be prepared there in that situation, but it is going to be a Scar, which is going to be able to rush in, challenge characters, ready up, opposing characters, ready itself up as well to continue to challenge. And then Patch wisely is going to elect to use one of the Porpsicles to heal the damage that was sustained. Won't matter though, because Zeus again is going to take down that Scar and open the way a little bit up for Cree. We'll play down a Queen's Castle as his first permanent card for turn, for the impact that that card can have on a board state. Just urge you to go ahead and watch round 3's conclusion, as Cree will then go ahead and quest for 1 with the evasive Pascal. Does he now want to put one of those characters into the location with that remaining 1 ink that's available? Or is Cree happy to just pass the turn here? In fact, there's multiple. There's 2. Going to bounce away the rabbit with Madam Mim's snake. Draw an extra card. And the turn passed over to Patch. Doesn't look like that I can see at the moment, at least, that there's a be prepared in hand. So the 2 opportunities that he did have to take one, decided against it. Inka Tamatoa, play a Tamatoa. Will return a Porpsicle. Isn't going to be able to play it down this turn though, having already inked and using that 8 to play down the Tamatoa, but will represent a hefty, not only willpower character, but also potential questing threat. That's kind of where one of the payoffs for the namesake card of Lucky Dime comes off in this deck. You load up with lots of low-cost items on the board, then play the Lucky Dime. Obviously, itself being an item helps towards the lore count that Tamatoa has. And you're essentially, if you've got the ink available, able to quest twice in a turn with Tamatoa. The other would have been the Bell. As soon as you get up to 10 ink in your inkwell, it goes up to potentially being a 5 lore quester. And then combine that with Lucky Dime, you're questing for 10 in a turn, which is either closing out a game or certainly putting you rapidly ahead. As ahead goes Cree, using that Benja to effect to get rid of the other Porpsicle that was back in play. And quests up to 7 as well, the combination of the passive lore gain from the castle, as well as the goat and the 2 glimmers that will quest the manual way. It's one of the biggest reasons I think that this Benja is included in this deck list as well for Cree, as Tamatoa will go singing for Be Prepared. We'll get Cree an extra lore, will go up to 8. And then Patch will be looking to try and follow that up to his advantage now that the immediate board threats have been dealt with. 1 for a Porpsicle. It's going to be to Maui. Challenge into the Queen's Castle. Get 6 damage onto that. It's got 7 willpower, of course, so only 1 more needing to go into that to deal with it. But for now, it's helping to freely get some more lore for Cree. 10-0 at the moment. As Cree plays down a rabbit, draw a card. Undoubtedly one of the MVPs of this deck as we've been seeing it so far. Gonna ink away a Baboom. Not enough low willpower characters to deal with or worry about here for Kree's point of view. So that represents 2 ink down onto a Smee, 2 down to a Snake. Bounce the Rabbit to draw a card and pass the turn. So undoubtedly the Queen's Castle is going to hit the discard pile this turn. There it goes with the Maui. But it'll be about how can Patch respond and how can he continue. It's going to be with a Dragon Maleficent. What is he going to challenge or what is he going to target? It's going to be the Smee, which makes sense, representing the highest individual lore that a character could have gained on Kree's side of the board. As now, Kree's got 2 bigger threats to have to kind of worry about. There is another Queen's Castle that is in hand. I think Kree might have just drawn that for turn. He's not going to like to play it first, at least. He's going to play the Merlin Rabbit, draws up another card. Again, it feels like it's a very awkward situation, especially to try and play with that castle. It's so valuable, but it feels like that you play it down right away, then that Maui and the Maleficent can combine and just deal with it straight away, and it would have felt like sort of 4 wasted ink at that point. Tapping 4. You're going to see another Rabbit going to come down here. Are we going to see the commitment to the Queen's Castle? Still with 4 ink floating at the moment. He's just going to play some smaller threats. Pascal, then a Benja to deal with a Porpsicle. That leaves the 1 card left in hand. At least I believe it's 1 card from the angle that we've got, being the Queen's Castle. No, in fact it's 2, but one of them is the castle. That is undisputable. What is undisputable as well is the Snake going and questing for 1. Up to 11-0 right now. Does mean that Kree has forced some interaction with the Maui. Of course, being a reckless character, has to challenge each turn that it is able. And that's what Patch will get out of the way first. Deal with the Madam Mim Snake. Maleficent Dragon will be allowed then freely to quest up to 2. Get Patch on the board in this game 1. And there is the namesake card. Lucky Dime will be used as well to get an extra 2 lore off of the Maleficent. As Lucky Dime reads pay 2. Exert this item. Gain lore equal to the amounts of chosen character. Now this is where that Benja that Kree played down the turn before would have come in really, really handy to have dealt with that Dime. Is Kree just a little too far ahead though? That's going to be the real sort of question and telling point, as we highlighted earlier on in this game and in this round. Got to get the front foot and get it early against this Ruby Sapphire Lucky Dime controlled list, as Kree plays down double Merlin Goat to gain some lore. As soon as it enters, built up a wide board state. Conquest freely with that Pascal being evasive. That's probably not going to go away. Means that even if Patch does find, say, a Be Prepared, then at least Kree is getting up to a dangerous point, getting up to 19. If Kree gets Be Prepared here, as he quests up to 17, Patch needs to be careful with how he's going to sequence these challenges. One has definitely got to get rid of the Benja being a 2 lore quester. Of course, the Pascal is safe in the evasive keyword. Patch is going to use dime first, get himself up to 6, which is an indication there's not anything like a bell in hand to get the extra lore. Does find Medusa, though, to deal with the Pascal. And then the other 2 glimmers will quest, or challenge, I should say, into the others. That's certainly one way of being able to do it, and a clever way to sequence it as well. But it does mean that Cree does just have one way to remove this Merlin goat, then it is going to be game. We'll quest for 2 for 19. I saw that there was a spell book at the front of the hand as well, which I think is going to get played down. Spell book played down, but instead we're going to Zeus the Merlin goat. Doing it in style is Cree there, and a little chuckle, I think, from both players, recognising the uniqueness of Cree being able to take that game 1. He had it in the bag anyway with the Sorcerer's Spellbook, but wanted to get fancy and showcases the versatility yet again of this deck and of this Merlin and Madam Mim package. Goes up a game against Ruby Sapphire Dime Control. And for Patch, it's difficult to try and say what he can try and change in this game really coming up. I think that maybe not being able to quest with the Tamatoa was sort of just put him back a little bit. Obviously, Cree had some well-timed benges in there to deal with Porpsicles, stop that loop from happening as well. Patch didn't find a Flavisham on his 4-ink turn as well. That was, I think, one of the biggest kind of hindrances there for Patch. Had to settle for Grammartala instead. I think that'll be one of the biggest difference makers that we might be able to see as we go in towards this game 2. If Patch can find Hiram Flavisham and link that up with the Porpsicle combo, then threaten that dime a little bit earlier with the likes of Bell and Tamatoa, then Patch might be in a little bit of a better spot in game 2. For Cree, though, he played that very, very well. Raced early on, dealt with the control threats that Patch tried to exert, and then was able to double goat and Zeus away for game. As our 2 players draw their mulligans, we'll remind you at this point as well, if you've enjoyed what you've seen so far today, if you're enjoying the coverage from the event, then be sure to drop us a like and a subscription as well to keep up to date with all the other events and tournaments that we capture for you and hope to broadcast live as well in the future with Fanboy 3. And of course, keep an eye on the socials as well to find out when these events get announced live, so that you could potentially play in them yourself. As we start the game off, game 2 of round 4, it starts with a Porpsicle for Patch. The ideal turn 1 yet again for this Ruby Sapphire Dime Control list. Cree will respond with a turn 1 play of his own, will be the Pascal. As Patch will look for a 1 jump ahead just as last game, finds it as well. So wraps up to 3 ink. Biggest question is going to be now if Patch finds the Flavisham on the next turn to be able to banish the Porpsicle and draw 2 cards. As this is Cree's turn 2. Now, Pascal is going to go ahead and quest for 1. Currently not evasive, but as soon as the second character does get played down, then it will become evasive. And looks like there will be one coming down, so Cree will protect the Pascal for now. Alongside a Mr. Smeet. As the turn gets passed over, Patch plays 4. There is the Flavisham that we were talking about. On play is going to be able to banish that Porpsicle, draw 2 more cards, and continue to help Patch accelerate and ramp up into Inkwell, and also get him closer to the dime potentially as well. There's Cree on his turn 3 will play down a crab And just quest along for 3, up to 4-0 now on the law count. Smee, of course, will get the 1 damage as Patch plays the Porpsicle first to then quest with Flavisham. Draws 2 more cards from that and gets himself, importantly, on the board as well. Inks away Dragon Maleficent, so that's another 4 available. And we'll look to continue to ramp as Fishbone Quill onto the board. 2, another Porpsicle as well. This is a very strong start and strong game that Patch is playing at the moment. I think I did see that there was a 1 jump ahead as well in Patch's hand if he wanted to just continue to accelerate and ramp further. Cree has got to get a hold of this game and got to try and do it quickly. First things first, though, we'll draw some more cards with friends on the other side. Then play down the Madam Mim Fox. Going to challenge into the Hiram Flavisham, so that'll stop 2 more cards being drawn on Patch's next turn, as well as the law being gained. But I think a fair bit of the draw card damage has been done at this point, as Cree will ink 1, play down Robin Hood, and then quest for 3, up to 7 at the moment. Smee will get another damage. Eyes now on Patch for his response. Inkatamatawa to start. And then pay everything, will be prepared. Quite a timely opportunity to use that song as well, with no extra banishment effects coming for Cree. No rabbits, no goats there. So that be prepared hurting a little more than what it typically might do if you're Cree in this situation. As over to his turn we go. Play a Maleficent, draw a card, and then play down a Smee after inking. So again, looking to continue to try and push forward and kick on. But Patch feels like that he's in the comfortable ink position at the moment, especially finding a second Flavisham. Well, banish the Porpsicle to draw 2 more cards. I think I see a Medusa in the hand as well. Ink a Develop Your Brain. But counting out the available ink that Patch has available, will use the Quill to get up to 6. There is the Madam Medusa. Will get rid of the Mr. Smee, stop the extra 2 law being gained for Cree. And this moment is going firmly to plan for Patch. Now here finally comes one of those bounce Merlin and Mim characters onto Cree's board state in this second game, in the form of the rabbit. Maleficent quests for 1, puts Cree up to 8. And then with the remaining 2, we'll bounce it back into hand with the Mim Snake. Protected him from challenge, and the turn will go over to Patch. I think might have top decked a dime for turn. It's a Tamatawa that they'll elect to play first though. Finds Porpsicle. Play it down, draw an extra card. Of course, Tamatawa isn't going to be able to quest this turn to gain the maximum help from that Porpsicle. It's going to be discarded away to Flavisham after he quests Patch up to 2 and draws 2 cards. Still potentially a couple of ink left remaining as well, with Patch having not used the Fishbone Quill yet. We'll ink away a Quill manually first. And Medusa is going to quest in the follow-up as well. Up to 3 now as the turn goes over. Tamatawa obviously a massive, massive threat here, and if Patch can just find some of those lower cost items, more Porpsicles, the Shield of Virtue perhaps, I think, as well. We've seen Patch play. And all of a sudden it can start seriously questing away. But first and foremost, we're going to get rid and deal with the Harem Flavisham. And then Zeus is going to be sung and banish the Medusa as well. So Cree just re-equivocating board state there slightly, but you still do have that massive 8 willpower of Tamatoa there on Patch's side of the board. Is this the time now for the dime? I think there's plenty of ink in the Inkwell. Of course, still has the Fishbone Quill as well to accelerate. It's going to be a second Medusa, though, which will get rid of one of the Merlin Rabbits. Draws Cree a card. But recognising there in this sort of bounce aggro deck kind of build that it is the bounce characters and the bounce glimmers that are the primary target. Tamatoa quests up, finds one more Porpsicle as well for Patch. Still, I think, effectively 5 ink to utilise as Flavisham's played down. Now cycles again that Porpsicle to draw more cards. I think it's a good 8 or 9 in Patch's hand. As Patch counts up the ink. Inks Tala. Doesn't need to go filtering too much more with her. And Cree has his turn being played now as the Crab will challenge first into Tamatoa, grant the challenger to Maleficent and deal with Tamatoa. Plays a Merlin Rabbit down for turn. And then Ink 1, play Robin Hood, pay 2, play Smee. Cree again looking to try and go a little wider and just try and outrace and outfox, as it were, Patch on this current board state. We'll get an extra law as well, but Cree only has 1 card in hand at this stage. Whereas Patch has plenty of options to choose from. At the moment, can quest up to 7. If he finds Bell and Dime, then it will be 17, but instead wants to use Flavisham as a singer. For how far I'll go. 1 into the ink, 1 into the hand. The Medusa will quest for 1. And 7 is rested. Cree knows what's coming next. Be prepared again. And the board cleared there for both players. As there is the bell on the follow-up for Patch now. So if Patch finds Lucky Dime next turn, or plays Lucky Dime next turn, that will be 16 law for Patch. As Cree plays out his hand with Castle and Friends on the other side. But what else? What else can you do here realistically? With no glimmers on board, it's a little difficult to see where the return is going to be able to come here. It's a hook as the final action for Cree's turn. And over we go with Patch, who has lots and lots of ink available. So Bell should firmly be online. Pay 7. There is the Lucky Dime. Activate Dime, gain 5 law, so that puts Patch up to 11. Now Bell will quest up for 5 herself, go to 16. Just as we were saying as well, it just doesn't feel like now that there is going to be too much for Cree to be able to do here. Plays a hops as the final action for turn, elects not to use her effect. And Cree has to come up with some answers. Gains 2 lore, naturally is going to get rid of the dime with the Benja, but doesn't have anything more, so scoops it all up. And for the first time in this Swiss rounds and into the Inklands set championship, we are going to be going to a game 3. It was perfectly executed there in game 2 for Patch, and it just shows how quickly you have to actually go and race against this dime control list to be able to put yourself in a position to try and get the victory. Obviously, Benja, key card in this deck as well, was able to get rid of the lucky dime, but at that stage it was a little too late, really, and especially when Patch was able to loop those Flavishams and Porpsicles, net so much card advantage that you could then ink away either naturally by hand for turn or with the Fishbone Quill as well, and open up so many more options in the following turns. As with just under 20 minutes left on the clock, we'll go to a game 3. If it does go to time and we have to go towards our time breaker scenarios, it is going to be 5 turns that these players will have between each other to find a winner. But still have plenty of time left on the clock until then, as our players take their third and final mulligans of this round, who will be moving to 4-0 and potentially having themselves 1 foot into the top 8 as well, towards the later stages of the day, where you become just 1 game away, 1 best of 3 set away from getting your hands on that beautiful Enchanted Stitch card, the prize card that everyone is after. And one of these players could be walking away with it if they win here in this game. Ready when you are is the call, and ready we all are as we get into game 3. Cree will start off with a very similar play as the previous games. Challenger hook. Patch will turn 1 pass. No Porpsicle. Turn 1 for Patch there, which could prove a little worrisome as Cree finds a Mr. Smee, which is important in this board state as well, because he's not going to be getting the damage onto him anytime he's exerted at the end of the turn right now, because there's that Captain Hook on board. Cree going to play it safe for now. It's going to pass the turn, trying to play around any possible Queen of Hearts rushes. Allows Patch freely to continue along with his regular game plan of turn 2, 1 jump ahead. And Cree will go with continuing with his game plan and continue to draw more cards, playing the friends on the other side. And then Quest's racing up to 3 with both Smee and Hook. Over to Patch we go. Inkatala. Now here comes the Queen of Hearts to rush in and challenge down that Captain Hook. So it was there. Cree was right to be weary of it in the turn before, but does at least manage to get that extra 1 lore out of the character as well. Cree on his turn 4 will play down the Merlin Rabbit and will be able to draw a card. Will be allowed to draw his card eventually. I think he drew into a Queen's Castle there as well. So Cree will quest for 2 with the Mr. Smee. And the turn gets passed over to Patch, who will first and foremost just straight away challenge into Smee. Doesn't want to have that requesting much more when there is options to get rid of it. And then Grandma Tala played down. We'll look at the top two. Couple of decisions here for Patch as well. Makes the decision. After paying all four, is going to ink. I think that's a second Hiram Flavisham that Patch has put into the inkwell. So not great whatsoever as Cree will Zeus away. The Grandma Tala as well, being sung by the Merlin Rabbit. And this really does open up the board and open up the game for Cree. Almost playing Patch his own game at the moment with the control element. Just negating anything that Patch tries to play down. Being helped slightly by the fact that Patch perhaps isn't drawing optimally. Isn't able to find the combo pieces that this deck relies on. There's a second Rabbit will come down onto the board, or ink Robin Hood away and pass the turn over to Patch, who's in a little bit of struggle at the moment. On 6 ink at the moment, so is a possibility to go ink 1, be prepared. At this point, he's going to Medusa a Rabbit instead. We'll draw a card, and nothing inked that turn either from Patch. Just going to pass the turn straight back over. And there's another Zeus as well to deal with the Meta Medusa. The second Zeus of this game 3 plays down a Queen's Castle for turn as the follow-up. Could also get a little greedy and go a little wider by playing that 1-cost Robin Hood down as well. Going to ink a Mim Fox instead. Or at least first, we should say, he's going to play down the Robin Hood, put it into the Queen's Castle, and pass the turn on over to Patch. Medusa at number 2 will deal with the Robin Hood, so no extra card draw going to come from the Queen's Castle, but there is going to be the lore gained. 2 lore up to 7 now for Cree. Seeing friends there from the Merlin Rabbit. Heart maybe in the throat for a moment for Patch. It will go straight back into the throat though, after immediately feeling like he could have breathed a sigh of relief. Avoided the Zeus being sung, but will be hard played instead. And Patch there, a good sport, chuckling away at Cree's fortune there. Oh, it's such good nature and such great camaraderie being shown here between the two players. Pay 1 for a hook, pay 1 to put it into the Queen's Castle. And the turn is passed over. No more Medusa we're being promised on this turn at the very least from Patch. Inks away a Maleficent Dragon. Will be prepared to clear the board. We'll get to draw at least 1 card though. Concrete. Won't draw the second one off of the hook being in the castle. Draw for turn and gain up to 2 lore. 9-0 right now. Cree in a commanding position in game 3 of round 4. First card played down this turn though will be the Maleficent. Draws an extra card. And then 3, another Maleficent, draw an extra card. Ink and put one of them into the castle. Looking to continue to try and draw and gain card advantage as the turn gets passed over to Patch. There is a Quill. Use Quill immediately. Ink. 4. First Flavisham that can actually be played down and get some advantage as well. Has to get rid of the Quill to do so, which might not have been super ideal. But at least get some more cards into the hand and what looks a little bit of a thinner hand than we're used to seeing from Patch and this Dime Control list. As Cree is up to 11, finds a second castle now as well to really dial the pressure on. Means that will be, if one of the castles isn't dealt with, 15 lore on board for Cree. We'll double quest first though, go to 13 this turn. That makes it 17 in the next turn potentially if both the castles aren't dealt with. 1 for a Captain Hook, and the last 2 are going to stack the other 2 glimmers onto their respective castles. And Patch, just might have heard there, is begging for a Rise of the Titans to at least deal with one of those locations, but not in the right colour for that. In the ink is Patch. Titans is a steel card. Patch playing the Ruby Sapphire list, and at the moment isn't treating him the best in this game 3.
The second castle is really just closing me out of this game. I'm going to have to do some awful shenanigans here now. Fishbone Quill.
Well, Patch promising shenanigans in this turn. Finds Quill. Inks with it. Quests for 1 with Flavisham. That gets him onto the board in this game, Patch. Little celebrational fist bump there to get Patch onto the board and make sure that it's not a complete closeout of this game. Finds the ink to play Be Prepared.
Pass the turn, you gain 4.
So Cree won't be drawing all the cards, but still will be gaining 4 as soon as the turn is passed over. And as Patch alluded to and hinted himself there, feels like that's probably game. That definitely is, as the hand is extended, finds the goat, had the snake as well to continue bouncing. And Patch concedes, moving to 3-1. Cree up to 4-0 with Amethyst Steel. Well played from both these players. At game 3, just a little bit more difficult for Patch to navigate. Couldn't find the tools that he needed to find. There were the 2 cards left in hand, Bell and Scar. Move to 3-1. His day's not done. Cree, though, 1 step away potentially from top 8. That's going to do it from us here for round 4. Hope you have enjoyed. We will see you in the next game.